Hi, everyone. It's Andy from Chronically Healthy Life on another episode of Fountain of Youth. This is something I started. Oh, man, I'm on episode number 19. So, this is something I started a few months ago now, just to give some tips on daily things that most of us are experiencing. And I started it myself, and then we've been revolving with special guests. And Amanda just, we just clicked, and we've been on each other's. She's on her Transformation Tuesdays, and I have my Fountain of Youth on Wednesdays. And I think it's just sort of amazing that we can give our insights slightly, which are slightly different from a different view. For those that are watching me the first time around, I am a functional nutrition longevity expert. My background is functional nutrition, but I am a certified personal trainer. I am a biohacker at heart. Everything that I teach and talk about, I do myself, right? It's not a matter of just talking about stuff that other people have shared over Google, YouTube, TikTok, whatever. Everything that I talk about is I always experiment on myself before I share it with others. And in the last 10 years, 12 years now, actually 13 years now, it's been quite a health journey for me. I've been learning more and more each day. I think it's very important to be constantly learning, finding people that resonate with you. And, rather than inventing the wheel, see what they're doing. And hopefully, we can inspire you to improve your health. Joining me is my dear friend, Amanda Beth Johnson. I am just going to let her introduce herself.
Thank you, Andy. I am an intuitive healer and wellness coach. I come from a very mixed background. I started out life as an emergency medical technician. Before I was out of high school, I had completed that course. I've also worked in social work. I worked in office medicine. And currently I have a flotation business. So I have the Iowa Salt Pod here in Southeast Iowa. I also am a homeopathic educator. So we deal with some of that homeopathic stuff. And I also have the Lifewave patches with just like Andy does, as well as intuitive healing and just kind of looking at how when the energies aren't flowing, it bogs you down and really creates a lot of havoc with your health. So, and I agree with Andy. I think that, we've looked through our own adventures of health and the things that have worked for us, the things that have not, constantly looking for something that's more holistic, more natural, that agrees with our body rather than just suppressing things. And I know that I don't profess to be right about everything, but if nothing else, if I can have you at least think about it and make better decisions about your health care, because you got one body. So take care of it.
I love that. I love that. So today, the topic was, it's really funny because me and Amanda, when we do our Facebook Lives, there's no planning. We basically wing it right before we do it. And yesterday on Transformation Tuesday, Amanda, she's talking about, surviving. A lot of people are in survivor mode. Today, I thought it would be sort of funny to link it in today with, I called the topic brain drain, linking a little bit of inflammation and mental clarity, because I think there's so much going on with so many people all the time. And I thought this would be a fun topic to dive into, because I got a little bit of brain drain myself. And I love what Amanda says. Yes, we are both into holistic healing, and we both love Lifewave patches. And before we even start, because to talk about brain drain, it is sort of funny. It's like, do you ever have that feeling sometimes when you walk in a room and you don't even remember why you're there, right? That
And that is
you ever
not,
have that feeling, Amanda?
yeah, constantly. Actually, I do one better than that. So here we're at our campgrounds, our river lot, and
Yes.
we were here about a week ago. Came down just for the afternoon. I was going to do some stuff on the computer. Opened up one of the hatches with the keys. Took the electric cord out. Had it in its tote, sitting right next to where I was. We can't find the keys. They've been gone. They have been gone, and no one left anywhere. We didn't go anywhere. We didn't do anything. We were just pretty stagnant that day, and they're still missing. They're still missing. So yes, why are we doing things? But I think that brain drain and that brain fog is, yes, we can talk about the overwhelm, and that was kind of the what was it, the overwhelmulated that we talked about yesterday. Overwhelmed, overstimulated, and just drained. The energetics are gone, and I think that we can all relate to that. And that's one of those things. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's because it's too much caffeine, it's too much this, it's too much, and it's not age. We cannot blame, Andy, we are not that old. We are not blaming it on that.
Not at all. At all.
It's, our brains were not made for as much as what we're doing with them. Exactly. We're constantly checking, and what is it? The study says every time you pick up your phone and you look at it, it takes you 30 seconds from the time you set it down to get back to what you're doing. I can't tell you how many times my poor phone gets picked up because I'm trying to find out what time it is. But I see the little red dot and so I guess for me, it's figure out what you're doing. And there's that, what is it? I think it's a 25 question. It's a stress question. Mm-hmm. Are you experiencing this in your life? And the more stress that you're experiencing, the more likely you are to die. I mean, and it's usually it's an accidental thing because we're so overwhelmed and we're so overstressed that we aren't taking those regular precautions. I mean, who loses a set of keys in a 20-foot square area,
I love that. And, what you're saying is so true. I think, there's just so much stress going on. And, tonight, hold on. We talked about Lifewave. I'm just going to supercharge myself. We'll talk about this a little bit. This is the Aeon. And this is really funny because I usually put this on to sleep at night to have a clearer brain to sleep. And many times in the morning, because I put it right here, right in the middle of my forehead, many times in the morning when I'm training people, I don't even remember to take it off, right? It's what the hell is on your forehead? But anyways, this is going to be my supercharged moment. This is the Aeon patch. It's known to have characteristics to lower inflammation. And, it is so ideal today because I want to talk a little bit about neuroinflammation, which is inflammation of the brain. Right. Yeah. And like, Amanda says, it's like our brains are so engaged that we are literally like a hamster running on a hamster wheel. Like, we can't remember the next chore that we're supposed to do. And, this is a lot of these things is caused from inflammation of the brain. Right. It's the stress is, a main part of it. I love to share some things that I think can inflame the brain. Of course, your diet, your gut, there's that study between the gut brain connection. What do you think about that, Amanda?
I did not read in depth on that one. So I'm going to rely on you for that one. I mean, I remember seeing it, but it was one of those things of like, I'm probably not going to do anything about it. So I'm not going to read it.
I love that, So it's so funny because everyone thinks that the brain is so important and makes all the decisions, right? But, there's the gut-brain connection. So a lot of the decisions can be influenced by your gut, and that's why, a lot of people think we have the gut feeling, right? It's like your gut's actually thinking. It's your second brain. In some cases, it actually might be your first brain. Right. So if you don't have a healthy gut, if you're not eating a proper diet, and you're getting all the minerals and all the nutrients, now you got an unhealthy gut, which does affect the gut brain connection, which will technically make you, a little more tired, mentally fatigued, brain fog and stuff like that, a little clarity. So, the gut brain connection is very important when it comes to healing the gut. And the only problem is so many people's got gut dysfunction they don't know about, like from all the foods, from all the poisons, right?
Mm-hmm. And from all the over the counters. Oh, I've got some indigestion. Let me reach for this. Let me reach for that. Instead of going, oh, did I eat something? What is causing
Exactly.
it? Did I eat it? Is it my stress? Is it my
Yes.
emotions? Where is this coming from? So let's, instead of just taking a pill to suppress it, or a tablet, or a
Yes.
chew, or a liquid, whatever your choice is, find out why you're doing it. Find out what
Exactly.
it is. Because yeah,
Exactly.
if you don't have good stuff in your gut feeding your body, feeding your brain, you're gonna
Hmm.
have that brain fog.
Exactly. Exactly. And I interviewed Nicholas Hosher last week on a Chronic Health Collective Masterclass, and he was talking about the toxins that's going into our brains, right? Because a lot of these toxins pass through our blood-brain barrier, right,
Mhm.
and is causing literally neuroinflammation. So, like a lot of conditions, people are, like I said, getting the mental clarity, the brain fog. There's a now explosion. People saying having dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, right? This is still all caused by toxins that's getting into your body. And once again, it
Right.
depends on where it's coming from. And of course, our interview was specifically on the COVID vax. So definitely catch up on the episode if you missed that interview. But it just shows to you, like, for your body, it gets affected so easily by the things we don't think about, right? You know what I'm saying? For all the things that we think that we're doing healthy into our body, it's actually damaging it, damaging our brain. We're actually getting a little more slower, right? It's almost like slowing our brain down into slow motion, right? And
It's kind of those cumulative results.
exactly,
We
exactly,
just keep adding a little bit more, depending on where you live and where you frequent, and how much fresh air do you get,
exactly.
or are you stuck inside? you know
Yeah,
Not that fresh
right.
air is always fresh.
It's amazing. I was just talking about you were on your river lot, and me and Minna recently bought a beach lot. We're not spending any time there yet, but we're hoping to soon. And just like we want the fresh air, right? So the fresh air is definitely important. But bouncing more on the brain, how important do you think sleep is for the brain there, Amanda?
Oh, I think sleep is incredibly important, and it's not necessarily the hours in bed as the
Hmm.
quality of the sleep that you get. Some people, I've got my one daughter, I don't know if she to this day, but she's a 15-hour sleeper. That's
Correct.
that's
Correct.
her body's rhythm,
Yeah.
and but I think that when you have good sleep hygiene, you've got the electronics out of the room, you're just using that room for sleep, you're not watching TV, playing video games, doing all those other things, then you're
Hmm.
going to have a better quality sleep. Your brain is not distracted by all of that, and it's not as affected by all the 5G. And
Yes.
I
Hmm.
I didn't I kind of poo-pooed it for a while, that the 5G really affected someone. And the first phone that I had that was automatically 5G,
Yep.
I was sick for 3 days. I had a
Oh,
migraine. I
wow.
was I was nauseous. I couldn't
Mhm,
sleep. I hurt everywhere. And it's like
mhm,
nothing's changed. It's like, okay,
mhm.
instead of reaching for pills and supplements, it's
Yep,
like, okay, what changed? What's different? It's like the only thing
correct,
that's different is I have this new cell phone. And I had
correct,
not moved my EMF sticker from the old phone to this phone,
correct.
and I was unaware that it was 5G. I don't know why I
Mhm.
didn't know that, but you know, we live in rural America. So 5G, although your phone
Correct.
is 5G, you may not be receiving 5G. And I'll
True,
tell you what, I
that's true.
turned that 5G off. I put my EMF sticker on it,
Mhm.
and I woke up the next day a new person.
I love that. I love
So,
that.
how many times could I have been taking, anti-nausea stuff,
Mhm.
or headache stuff, or, all of those things, instead of saying, wait, nothing's changed. What's different? What is causing this? Because you don't just get that sick for nothing.
Yes,
And for me,
I
it was
agree.
that.
I agree. The sleep is so important, but like I said, I love what you said about the quality of sleep. And it's not about just how many hours. And it's funny because you mentioned about the 5G, and that's one of the things that me and Minna noticed is that at night, like, we got so much Wi-Fi devices in my house.
Oh,
It's like
everything,
there's a lot. There's a lot.
everything.
right?
Yeah.
And those are basically, we were staying inside almost like a microwave inside the house, right? Along with the 5G on top of that. And one of the things that we notice when we go to sleep now, if we go to our phone and our and our iPads and stuff, and we put into sleep mode where it turns off the Wi-Fi, the 5G,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we turn off the Wi-Fi where everything stays on just Ethernet connected. It's like we actually sleep better. Like, it
Oh
was
yeah.
it was sort of an experiment at first. Oh, is this just bogus or what? And sure
Yeah.
enough, we use our Aura rings. Not only that we fall asleep better, but we actually had a lot more deep sleep, a lot more REM, a lot more dream time, which shows that you have actually more rested sleep.
More rested
Right.
sleep. Yeah.
So, but one of the things, I like to talk about some some symptoms with brain inflammation, some brain drain. And the first one is like after waking up, you're more tired than you were when you're sleeping. Right. And a lot of people are like that, right?
They are. They are because they don't put their brains to rest. They don't give it that space that you would not do that to your cell phone. You would not let your cell phone go as dead as you let your brain.
Exactly. Always on the charger. Oh my God. The other thing is simple tasks like not losing your keys becomes might be some signs that something's going on, So
Yeah. Well, and when you don't remember and you're having more of those incidences of, oh yeah, I'll remember this or this, and there's all the brain tricks. There's the things that you say some math problems and then you remember it, or you tell it to your hand, or you do that. You can do all of those things all day long, but you have to remember to do those to remember the other thing.
That is so true.
That is not how you should be living. You've got to have that time and space, and you need to do it without guilt and shame.
Yes.
Stopping here at the river and waiting. I'm waiting on my car to be finished repairing, but to do it without guilt, to enjoy the time you're here, and stop rushing around to get everything done. Your to-do list is ad nauseum. It's always going to be there.
That is so funny because I was going to say the next symptom is forgetting people's names, forgetting the appointments, or worse, forgetting what day it is. So like these are all signs that your brain has a little bit of inflammation and it's time to recharge a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other things. What are other symptoms you think when people are having brain fog that they're not actually knowing they're having some inflammation in the brain there, Amanda?
I think they just overall don't take as good a care of themselves. They don't put themselves first. They're always playing catch up, and there's just it's on a hamster wheel, like you said. There is no getting to the start. There's not a stop and a start. And so I think that if people could make a clear start and a clear stop to any task that you do, and not take on more things, they say that we can't truly multitask. We do it all the time. We prove them wrong every single day. But are we doing it well? Is it really a good idea to be editing 17 videos at the same time? Probably not. And look at those things and really prioritizing them. What is important and what am I willing to risk my health, my mental health?
Yes.
And that's where you forget people are forgetting to eat.
Yes.
Which that's double-edged. You shouldn't eat unless you're hungry. But when you flat out forget to eat and then you wonder why you're hungry.
That's true.
Or you sit there and think, did I eat this? Did I not eat that? Or you are stress eating and all of a sudden you go into the kitchen and the box of crackers is empty and you don't remember eating them.
That's some, that is great because I was going to say the other things that, I wanted to slide into certain things that cause brain fog. And, that is carbohydrates, and what do most of us, go for? Like the crackers, the chips, the chocolates, the candies, I have a friend that has, they have a craving for something. What do they call those little candies? Nerds, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, is it nerds? I forget. But they're basically these small. They almost look like Skittles. The essential Skittles.
They look like gravel to me, like
Yes,
candy
yes,
gravel.
yes.
They're
Yes.
smaller than Skittles, but
Right.
yes.
Exactly. Right. And once again, I think a lot of these are triggered by childhood, and because it brings back childhood feel good memories. But in a sense, it's actually destroying your memory and destroying your brain. So it's a dual-edged sword on that, right? Which could be, causing some of those symptoms.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, some of those cravings, and yeah, we're not going to get into the whole diet and what you choose to eat.
No.
But because when you deprive yourself of that thing and but moderation,
Yes.
but then take a look at what it is that your body's craving. And there used to be the cheat sheet that if you thought you really needed ice cream at night, you should have like cornflakes, or you should have,
really? Okay.
if you were craving chocolate, it was really the magnesium, so you should have peanuts.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, yes.
So there were exchanges that way that it's what is your body craving, and so satisfy the craving and not necessarily the exact food.
Correct. So you're satisfying the need. The body has a craving, but it actually needs a need, and that's why you threw me off a little bit. Cornflakes. Why does your body need cornflakes?
Because it's supposed to meet whatever the nutritional need would be. Yeah. I never fell for that trick.
That is so cool. That is so funny. So, I would love to go through a couple of things on what I believe would help cool down the inflammation for the brain. And then, of course, I would love for you to put together clearing for all of us. If any of us are having a little brain drain, I think that would be sort of fun. It's middle of the afternoon. This time of the day is usually when people are loading up more coffee or Red Bull or whatever. And
you say coffee, Andy. I know I used to drink coffee all day long. I'd get out of bed, I was drinking it. I'd drink it before I went to bed. I just drank pot after pot after pot. I'll tell you what, when I quit drinking that afternoon coffee, I quit drinking coffee all day long. I have 1 or 2 cups in the morning. Sometimes I'll have another one. But when I gave up all that coffee, I didn't need my afternoon nap.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because that caffeine is creating a false energy.
Yes.
It's pumping you up,
Yes.
And as does the Red Bulls and all those things, because you spike and then you crash.
Yes, exactly.
No.
I love that. I was getting a little brain drain because you're mentioning about forgetting to eat. Well, I didn't forget to eat. We try to eat 1 meal a day, and we had a big meal, and how after a big meal your body's processing it, just giving me a little bit of that drain. But I'm not tired in the sense that I'm falling asleep. But I thought this would be a great topic, because I think a lot of people do have these symptoms, feeling tired all the time, forgetting things, and they think it's not enough sleep. But sometimes it's much deeper than that. So I would love to go over a few of the things that I recommend for my clients. The first one is upping their omega-3s. Right. I find that a lot of people are very high to omega-6. So you want like a better omega-3 to 6 ratio. Right. In general, there's studies showing 3 to 1 is best. Some people say 1 to 1. I think as long as it's not crazy out of the range, it's not too bad. Unfortunately, for the standard American diet, it's closer to 30 to 1. So that's why, so many people have really high omega-6. So I think getting, supplementing with omega-3s is a great way. For me, rather than popping supplements, I recommend getting it, from wild salmon, right? From mackerel, sardines, right? You can get it from your nuts, right? Some healthy omega-3s. And, if you're doing your testing and that's not bringing it far down enough, closer to that 6 or 3 to 6 to 1 or 3 to 1 ratio, then you probably will need to supplement. But supplementing is dangerous too, because there are just so many omega-3 oils out there, and
there are
garbage,
Yeah, and where did they come from? What's the source? And do you have the time to test it? And I think one of the quickest things is on those labels, who's their third party testing. That's
Correct.
the quickest
Correct.
way to find out how pure or good they are. If they've got some third party testing
Yes.
in place, then you're probably getting the same thing in this bottle as you got in the last bottle as you got in the bottle last month.
Yes. One of the tests that I learned 13 years ago to test the purity of omega-3 oils, if it's in a tablet, it'll be sort of hard to test if it's in oil form, is throw it in the freezer. If it freezes, it's not pure.
That would make sense.
So check that out. So if you have any omega-3 supplements, throw it in the freezer, and if it freezes, it's not pure oil, right? You have some impurities. You got water. You got all these impurities in there. So that's a very quick test for all the people out there that's saying that they got the best omega-3, right? The ones that I use, I always test, and sure enough, they're always, not squeegee, right? Because it's still in that capsulated form, but it's not frozen hard, right? So that's really one of the best ways to do it. Another thing I always like to recommend is raising the antioxidants, right? And antioxidants are important. Do you want a shot at explaining what antioxidants are, Amanda?
Oh, antioxidants are they're clearing the free radicals.
Yes.
And the free radicals are the things that break down your system prematurely. So the free radicals are kind of the Klingons of bad food. And so having the antioxidants, they're the good guys that come in and balance that out. And the antioxidants, now I can't tell you any examples off the top of my head. So,
well, the antioxidants that are best, a lot of people talk about vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin D can be acted as antioxidants. But, I like talking about antioxidants in food form, right? And food form right now in summer, it's great. Right now for most of the U.S., we can get strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and stuff like that. Those are all very high in antioxidants. So, like getting an antioxidant-rich diet is definitely going to help. The only problem with most of these berries, if you follow EWG, half of them are so toxic. So it is important to get organic.
And I think that's one of the hardest pills to swallow is that, here you are eating right, eating what they say you're supposed to have. You're getting your veggies, you're getting all your stuff, and you're getting salmonella, and you're getting, it's like,
it's so true.
I was eating the right stuff and I'm sicker. And I think that's something that we all need to be aware of in our food source. You're talking about the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. And that was something that had never been presented to me that way until just a couple of months ago. So it's interesting. There are some things that, yes, the Dirty Dozen are the things that you should never eat unless it is organic.
Exactly.
And the clean,
unfortunately, strawberries, blueberries, grapes.
Yeah, they don't have a peel to protect them. Yeah, it comes down to who has a peel to protect them. Yeah. When they don't have a peel to protect them, then you're getting everything that they put on them is just soaked right in. Not that the things, coming in through the ground and everything is not an issue as well, but it's better when you can look at them in that realm of, how is it treated? Because to get something truly organic is so difficult. It is.
Definitely.
It is.
Definitely. And the funny thing is, eating organic in the United States and in Canada is getting freakishly expensive. Right. But the funny thing is like parts of Europe, Mexico, everything's organic. They don't even need to label organic because they don't use the pesticides. They don't use, GMOs. Everything is organic the way our grandparents and great-grandparents. I can't even say my parents say anymore, right? Like great-grandparents and grandparents were probably growing organic. Right. Because even my parents were still using the occasional fertilizer, which isn't probably the best fertilizer, or using like the slug killer and stuff like that. Who knows what's killing those damn slugs, right?
Beer.
So exactly. So you're still putting like chemicals into our food supply,
Right.
but like due to what you say, it's so true. Here we are. We're thinking, oh, our strawberries are high in antioxidants. Blueberries are so good. We go out to the restaurant ordering anything that has blueberries or strawberries, and they're non-organic, meaning that they actually have all these toxins that can actually, I don't want to say kill you. Anything can kill you in too much moderation,
Right.
but it
Yeah.
can really harm your health, right? It can really harm your
Right.
health. So here you are, one hand you're eating something really healthy, other hand you're not. So definitely get some antioxidants in your body, but make sure, good source, clean, whole foods.
Mhm.
Next thing I like to say is, cutting out the processed foods, like the sugar, the gluten, the bad oils. Like we talk about the omega-6 oils. And a lot of people, they don't think too much about the omega-6 oils. What are your thoughts on that, Amanda?
I know the oil ratio is really, really wicked.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to get the good oils and stuff. And I know
Yes.
we've talked in other episodes about different things that we've done to clean up our diet and stuff.
Mhm.
And I know that since I do the cleaner oils, I'm not doing the fast food, the soy oils
Yes.
and all of those. I
Yes.
haven't used any sunscreen this year.
I love that.
And I have
Exactly.
not burned. And it's just, I mean, I'm also, I'm eating cleaner and healthier and I feel
Yes.
better. My body's happier and I'm not
Yes.
sunburning, which
Exactly.
is a big thing for me.
It is. It is.
you know.
It's funny because like all these processed oils, like the canola oil, like the ones that can handle the heat, the vegetable oil, the soy
Canola
oil.
isn't even a vegetable. Canola it's
Exactly.
motor oil. It's left over from Canada. They couldn't use it, so they started selling it to the US.
The worst thing is, and people don't realize this because I still see so many people like Whole Foods, right? Not everywhere has Whole Foods, but Whole Foods has an amazing cooked salad bar area. Amazing, right? The food, everything looks amazing. And back in the day, when I was short on time, I'll go there, scoop it up, weigh it out, and go home. But if you look at the ingredients, everything is cooked in organic canola oil. And that blows my mind. How can you have organic canola oil?
Because
Right?
there's not a canola.
Exactly.
There's not a
So,
canola. Canola oil does not come from canola, just like baby oil does not come from babies.
exactly. Right. So here we are. Once again, you go into Whole Foods that are known for whole foods, and they're serving you food that should be healthy for you, but it's cooked in the worst oil. And the reason I was bringing about these oils can handle high heat, and so you can stir fry them and stuff. No wonder you're actually sunburned when you're taking it. I don't know. That's just my
Exactly.
brain going through the
Yeah.
process.
But when you switch to no longer using canola oil or vegetable oil at home, it's amazing. You got to really pay attention if you're using oil to do much of anything.
Exactly.
I hate it because it's like, oh, it's gonna burn. It's gonna burn. You really
Oh my
you
gosh,
have to
that is so
change your
true. That
hats.
is so true. That is so true. Well, the next one is, I want to finish off with, the diet. Let's go a little quicker here. Is hydration. Hydration is very important for the brain, right? A lot of people don't think about overhydrating is also a problem. Don't get me wrong. And, when people think about hydrating, they think these need to drink water, right? And back in the day, that's what I was trained to. Like as a personal trainer, they said drink half your body weight in water. They got most of it right, 80% of it right. What they don't tell you is make sure you have electrolytes in the water.
Yeah.
Right. And that is something that, to be honest, that I learned in the last 2 years. And, supplementing some electrolytes have made the biggest difference.
Yeah,
Right.
because otherwise you get so much water and it's got to have the water molecule itself has got to have a key to get into the cell.
Exactly.
And when you're
I
going
love
to
that analogy.
when you're doing your blood labs and stuff, you don't chug an 8-ounce bottle of water and then have hydration in your tissues. It takes days. It's a slow
Yeah.
process. And if you overhydrate, your body goes into a defense mode and it will deplete you. It will dehydrate you because it had too much water and it
Correct.
doesn't regulate it really well. So, and everybody's like half my body weight in ounces. Oh, well, when you get accustomed to it, your bladder does adjust and you will not be up all night. You will be sleeping soundly.
Exactly. But like I said, the electrolytes are important, and it's just as simple as a pinch of Himalayan sea salt or Celtic sea salt. Like you don't have to go too crazy on electrolytes,
No.
unless once again you want to up your up the minerals and stuff that you want in your body, right?
Well, and you need to do it attentively and pay attention to it. When I first started adding the Himalayan salt to my water, I can do a certain amount, and then after that, I get a sodium drop, and
Correct,
that's
correct.
not it's not something you want to be away from home when that happens, because it will pull all the sodium out of your body, which then
Correct, correct,
floods
correct.
your colon with water.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So true.
so do these things and be attentive when you put a teaspoon in your water, when you put a pinch in your water,
Yep.
what are you doing, what are you putting in there? And there are some of the salts that my body doesn't like.
Hmm.
So just pay attention to what you're doing. Don't be all willy-nilly. I know I'm asking you to add one more thing to your task list: track your water, track your salt. But your body's going to love you and your brain's going to love you so much more when you just kind of, yeah, break it down. Don't make it too difficult, and stop overwhelming yourself.
I
So
love that. I love that. Last tip on the gut is, supplement of some probiotics, prebiotics. And when I talk about that, once again, not necessarily supplementation. Yogurt, kimchi, anything that is fermented will help.
mhm.
Kombucha, right? Kefirs, right? All these things really feed the good gut bacteria. And then once again, one of the things that I believe in for gut health is prebiotics as a supplement is needed. I notice when I supplement prebiotics once every 2-3 days on top of my whole meals, it makes a big difference. It
Yeah.
does make a difference because I think it's just really hard getting the prebiotics from our foods. And the second thing is, I think, from the overuse, we talked a little bit about medication, the overuse of antibiotics growing up, or even some of the people right now,
Oh,
it kills all your gut bacteria. So you really just don't have any more good gut
one
bacteria.
one regimen of antibiotics knocks out your good gut bacteria for 2 years.
Yeah. So think about that.
2 years, and I am anti. You have to promise me I'm going to die if I don't take the antibiotic. I'm horrible, but I work to be healthy so that I don't
Yeah.
get drawn down, and as a healthy body, we're not going to attract those bugs, those germs, and part of that health is keeping that stress down. Stress,
Yes.
stress is a huge culprit of so many things, and when you've got that brain fog, look at yourself. That's your body saying, "Hey, we got to take a break," and being able to acknowledge that, like I say, without the guilt and shame.
I love that. Other things that can help is daily movement, or sometimes maybe just chilling out in a serene place like Amanda is right now. That really does help. That really does chill
It
the
does.
brain out, and you will notice that you have a lot more clarity in times like that. So I think that I'm looking at you, and I am jealous there. Like I have a green screen in front behind me today. I can put a scene like that, but I'm not actually out there.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. No, I'm here. I am here with all the cicada noises. I don't know if you guys can hear them. They're noisy.
Exactly. Exactly. Another thing is breath work. Amanda's talk about the four, the box breathing, right? There are so many different strategies for breath work. Breath work, meditation definitely is really good for the brain. We'll touch briefly on sleep hygiene. Sleep's important. Get your sleep. Figure out what gives you the best sleep. We
Yeah.
talked about that a little bit already, right? And I just want to cap off, because like I said, for every fountain of youth, I like to talk about Lifewave products, how we can help with with this specific topic. And for today's topic, before we go into into your clearing, Amanda, I love to say that the Aeon patch. I was going to use this finger. The Aeon patch is great for chilling the brain out, right? So if you find that you have a frenetic brain. That's why, like, sometimes for me, it's like if I had a busy day, when I try to sleep, I'm thinking about all the things that went on the day, all the good and the bad. And sometimes it's hard to sleep, right? And when I slap this right in my forehead on my third eye, oh my God, it's almost like an on-off switch. It's almost like, you're literally turning the off switch. And surprisingly enough, I get happy dreams, right? Which is I guess a good side effect. But for me, it's a really great way to, lower your stress response, lower, to put you into that parasympathetic state. You know what I'm saying? The rest and digest.
Rest and digest. Absolutely.
Right. And of course, there's studies showing that it can help reduce, stress and cortisol. The other one I do recommend for people with brain inflammation is the X39. Once again, it lowers inflammation. It boosts GHKCU, and GHKCU, just Google it. I'm not a very big Google person. I'm a very big DuckDuckGo person, but Google GHKCU, and you're going to see all these amazing benefits. And some of it is, brain clarity, mental clarity, right? But the main thing is it actually activates and stimulates your own stem cells, right? So for some of us, like Amanda saying, hey, we're not young anymore, but I can tell you we're sharp. We're sharp as tack most of the time anyway. It's because, we're stimulating our body to continue to create stem cells, which decline over time. So that's always important. That's what I have here. I'm always wearing that. It lowers inflammation. What it also does is it boosts glutathione. And we talk a little bit about those toxins in the foods and stuff, right? So rather than, there are a lot of detox protocols, and Amanda has a lot of holistic ways to do that too. But for me, sometimes it's just easier for me to just put it on, set it and forget it. Well, at least until nighttime when you take it off. Right. So that's what I recommend for people that's having feeling a little tired, little brain drain. The X39 and the Aeon patch is a good 1-2 punch. What are your thoughts on that? Do you use those once in a while?
Oh, I do. I use, and when I'm feeling that overwhelm, but that I've got something that really needs to be done, I use the energy enhancers.
I love that. Yes.
And those are my tune in, pay attention. I mean, They are better than Ritalin. And I have taken Ritalin many, many years ago. Yeah. The energy enhancers, I would take those hands down. You're not processing the chemicals through your body. And it does. The first time I put them on, I'm thinking, yeah, right. And it's like, zoom. I was on the computer. I was there. I mean, I went to the bathroom. I got my water, but I was there from like 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and got so much done. And so
exactly, those are amazing. Those are amazing. It is almost like that movie where Bradley Cooper takes that pill.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What? It's on the tip of my mind. See, I'm having a little brain drain right now, but basically, that's where you get the energy, the clarity. The energy patches are amazing, depending on which acupuncture points you put it on, right? But yes, I love to finish today. Like I said, make sure you reach out to both me and Amanda for the Lifewave patches. But I love to collaborate with Amanda and mesh our specialties together. So I would love for you to do a clearing for everyone that's on there.
Sure. Because what I think I hear a lot about, Ed, from our conversation today, and just kind of what everything that's going on in the ethers here, is just that constant overwhelm. And so let's remove that obligation. So anyone who's not familiar with theta healing, we remove limiting beliefs. When we talk about obligations, and obligations means that when you have the opportunity to be overwhelmed, you're signing up. You don't ever take the back seat. And so when we remove that obligation, doesn't mean you'll never be overwhelmed, but it means you have more of a choice or a voice in what you do. So that's what we're talking about. In order to receive the theta clearing, you need to say yes out loud. When I offer it, that prepares your brain, your conscious, your subconscious, to receive that energy work. If the energy work doesn't fit for your body, it's not going to take it. And we can't do it to other people. Everyone has free will, and you accept that or you don't. So let's remove let's remove that obligation to be overwhelmed. And let's also let's remove the shame and the guilt that comes with rest, that that we just feel like, oh, we can't rest, or and that's part of a society value, that we're valued for what we do and not who we are. So that in order to be valuable, you have to be doing and producing. Sometimes we're far more valuable when we take that nap, when we take 20 minutes, when we go walk around the block, or we go outside and sniff the air, just even if it's just when you're grabbing the mail. Give your brain that rest and do it without guilt and shame. And so we're going to remove that obligation for the guilt and shame, and the obligation to be overwhelmed, that chaos functioning, that if we're not in chaos, we don't know how to function. And sometimes we get there. We get so accustomed to it that it's comfortable if we don't have 90 things going on. So let's remove that obligation to be doing, to be valuable. If you'd like those, just say yes. We're also going to do some forgiveness in there, to forgive ourselves for allowing it to get this way. And then I'm going to suggest that you also forgive your higher power, God, creator, source, whatever word works for you. Please don't be offended. Just put your word in there. Yeah. And then we're going to forgive those other people that make unreasonable obligations on you. Let's forgive them. Forgive them for not understanding, because they probably have their own stress. So if you'd like all that, just say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Whew. It's kind of a big one. And for anyone catching this on the replay, if you say yes on the replay, just say yes out loud and then do #replay yes. You will also get that work. It's energy. It's there. It's there for anyone who's listening to it and wants that energetic reset. So there you go. That's how we do it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I hope, people watching today's Fountain of Youth have gained some tips to dip their toes into the Fountain of Youth, because everything that we're talking about is helping us age gracefully, and hopefully for most of us to reverse age too. It's like, me and Amanda, we are in our 50s, but I can tell you, I can still outrun a lot of people in their 30s, so.
Yep. And you got to take care. And like Andy and I both, I think, we talk about this off camera too. Our intention is not necessarily that you do everything that we do. My intention is that you at least think about it. If nothing else, look up what I've said and prove me wrong.
Yes, I love that.
Invest in yourself, however you need to do it. Just take the time and take the care. You've got one body.
Exactly. Well, our contact information is on there. For anyone that I kicked my table. For anyone that wants a free 30-minute consult with me, you can go to longevityofandy.com. Right, we can talk about some stuff that you're struggling with and design a plan. And with Amanda, what's the best way to reach out to you, Amanda?
Same thing, through amandabethhealing.com. There's the discover. I offer a discovery call. If you want to follow me on the socials, if you do amandabethhealing.com/linktree, that'll direct you to all my socials.
And of course, if anyone wants to find out more about the Lifewave X39 and the Aeon patch, please reach out to both of us, right? We can point you in the right direction. What these amazing patches can do for your body is, like, once again, these are not drugs. They don't diagnose, cure, or heal. But I can tell you, they do some pretty amazing things.
And if you want a more specific, that's more training like, Andy does, what is it? Second and fourth Tuesdays.
Yeah,
reach
every
out
second
to us and we will get you a link. It is a private link to that one.
Exactly. It is private training. It's similar to this, but we dive in a little deeper with the Lifewave patches and why they're created and stuff like that. So follow us here again next week. Me and Amanda is part of the Chronic Health Collective, and we just finished. We're
launching a new season.
Right, and we are launching a new season. There's going to be a lot of new exciting things going on. We're launching a new membership portal. I'm working on that in the back end. That's going to be a great way for you all to ask us any questions on there. And, of course, we're going to have specific time slots where we will be there available to answer for you. but we had a talk, and along with the new collective members, is we really want to give back to the community. And rather than just say, hey, we're going to have a discovery call, we're just going to give you 30 minutes to ask whatever the freak you want, and we're going to give you the answer straight, regardless if you like it or not.
Yep.
Right? So,
yep. We're just
so we are working on that. That's in the works, and you're going to be able to find us on a lot more platforms for a show. So there's definitely a lot of new things on the Chronic Health Collective, a lot of new things that we can be sharing. But yeah, if you missed the Chronic Health Collective Masterclass, I will be putting snippets this week, and Amanda and the rest of us will be sharing it.
Yep.
Please pick it up, and so you can rewatch it anytime you want. And once again, like all the coaches and the special guests on there, we're offering free gifts, free consultations. So please take advantage of that, because the replays, the free replays, will be over by this Friday. So once they're gone, they're gone unless you pick up the VIP pass.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I will see you next week. And, we'll catch you on Tuesday on our first Chronic Health Collective for second season. Goodbye now.
Bye.